MMORPGs can be highly addictive, and I'm sure everyone agrees. It's very addictive at points, especially if you're an old school RuneScape player or, you just really like MMOs. Everyone has at least played one MMORPG, even if it was like 10 minutes, throughout their entire life, and probably maybe enjoyed it and stuck with it for a while. Who knows? This could be games like Wizard 101, The Elder Scrolls Online, New World, or some of the more popular ones like World of Warcraft and RuneScape. Each one has core elements that made them succeed and still relevant to this day. Wizard 101 allows players to acquire pets and level up continuously and continually adding content and new cards for different schools of the game along with a great storyline. The Elder Scrolls Online has an abundance of character classes along with the crafting skills and again, a good storyline. This can apply to every other MMORPG. These also include some form of PvP and riveting side quests and so on. Now why am I bringing this up on a VR channel, right? Well, VR MMORPGs, in my opinion, need to change. Now, there are a few that work successfully, like a Township Tale in some areas, but that is questionable because a Township Tale isn't really considered an MMO, right? I want to reiterate that this is all my personal opinion, and I am curious to hear yours. So hear me out and tell me what you think in the comments on this entire subject. This is more of a rant video, but I still want to bring it up because this can apply to other games. There are only a few VR MMORPGs compared to what exists on the pancake side of things, and some that aren't out yet and in development. Now, this can apply to games that aren't MMOs, as I said, but my sites are looking directly at the MMOs. VR MMORPGs are lacking in core fundamentals to make a true, fun, and exhilarating game that keeps players coming back. Again, in my opinion. Games can accomplish the fun and exhilaration part, but for how long can those last? The problem and solution are rather simple. Leveling and having something to grind for are the common things I'm talking about here. There isn't much to get from these games right now. There's like nothing. Sure, there's some grind to some of them, but not entirely. Like Zenith finally added something like pets, and you can go through and get levels and stuff, right? However, I'm going to use Wizard 101 and RuneScape as examples for what I'm referring to, and these two games are what I grew up with and what I enjoyed playing in my youth and sometimes in my adult life, particularly RuneScape in that case. Wizard 101 has always had a captivating type of gameplay and always had something to do on the side with minigames, pets, and better yet, new major things and content at every turn and at every update they do. The core new things for the player to acquire were bigger, more badass cards for the school of choice or other schools that they wanted to, and new places with every new update. And as for RuneScape, it's at a much larger scale. The leveling is a core feature, but so are the dozens of skills that a player can acquire and max out. And granted, taking a fairly long time for the most part, for most of them. This can be cooking, fletching, smithing, prayer, attack, defense, and so much more. All while the content was just massive, yet yes, behind a paywall for a lot of it, but that's normal for MMORPGs. I'd rather pay to get more stuff if I needed to. If I really enjoy the MMO, I would pay for it. I mean, that's common. And before I continue further, I'm going to mention the MMORPGs that I played and lost interest in quickly because of the lack of the content that I craved, which is either the PvP, no grind, or no sub-skills. Essentially, there's a bigger picture to it. These games are Orbis Reborn, A Township Tale, A Quest Together, and probably most importantly, Zenith. I'll briefly go down the list here as to why I lost interest in these VR MMOs. Not completely, but just briefly, as I said. I want to reiterate that these are by no means terrible games. I want to reiterate that right now. A lot of these games are super fun, and I really recommend them. You need to try them if you haven't. But this is just me ranting about things that I'm craving from a VR game to make a VR MMO feel like a true MMO. Now, Orbis is actually one of the better ones from the list, minus the graphics, but I can't be too nitpicky about that with VR. It's just, you can't. The game has PvP, has leveling, has classes, pets, mounts, and so on. However, the grind doesn't stay too long because it's just a straight path to doing the missions or side quests, which wasn't what I was looking for. It has crafting, fishing, trading, and so on, which, MMOs have that, and probably one of the most used things in some MMOs, specifically RuneScape. It's probably the most underrated one out of the group, honestly, but again, the appeal isn't there for me personally. I don't know. It's just still missing something, that grind, something to grind for, to gain from my arsenal, something that I can show off or something. Something like RuneScape did with acquiring armor, or like bandos, working towards bandos, or getting to 100 skill an attack, or prayer, or anything, really. It's just they give you classes and then you have to stick with that class the entire time. It's not really an RPG. An RPG is what you want to be, what you want to create. Granted, yes, you're given classes to choose from, but I want more flexibility. Now with the Township Tale, it's probably more fun and interactive experience, but it feels more like a Minecraft type of game in terms of, you know, RPG-ish, which could still be considered an MMO, but you can realistically play with friends for the most part on your own server. And with the Township Tale, you can craft things with your hands in the most amazingly unique ways. This includes blacksmithing, woodcutting. There's also miners, warriors, archers in the game. I personally haven't gotten too deep into the story of the game because, well, I don't have the time to invest that long into a game like that, unfortunately. I just tended to play for the features of the game as it was the most captivating part to me. Alta did a phenomenal job in creating this game, no doubt about it, and I hope it continues. It's honestly probably one of my favorites out of the ones I'm mentioning. Now, what I don't like about it, well, again, no leveling. There's nothing to earn from your efforts. Theoretically, you could go all the way down in the depths of the mines, get all the materials, come back up, and mine everything out. There's no repercussion, unless something changed that I wasn't aware of. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing something. But you can use these materials instantly. Despite the mines being difficult to acquire materials at times, it's still roughly quote-unquote easy to settle and play the game, you know. But again, a Township Tale still succeeds more than the rest, and they deserve it. They deserve all the praise for it. They've done so much for the game, and again, it's deserved. The same issues can be said for Quest Together, and hell, even the Sword Art Online VR chat world. It's just lacking. It's just lacking the content that makes a traditional MMO. But what of Zenith, right? The current greatest VR MMO. It's great. It's massive. It's honestly astonishing. It was a fun time when I played it to begin with, when I released. It has things that people like with lore, combat, dungeons, pets, guilds, abilities to fly, and much more. But why do I think it's still lacking? Again, this is the same thing. There's no other sub-skills to grind for, and the amount of levels is limited. Right now it's just level 40, and you can reach that in theoretically a day or two. While the lore is there, it's less captivating than traditional MMOs because, well, sometimes it's not fed to you like a normal MMO. What's great about RuneScape 2 is that the side quests also have depth to them, and they have more quests after those traditional side quests. It has more depth, and they add more layer, and they add more story to the characters for those side quests. And with Zenith, it's, at least to me, not there. Then onto the classes. They're obviously, with Zenith, they're lacking classes. There's only 2 right now, with the Cyber Ninja coming out soon. When? No idea. But it's just not captivating like the traditional MMO. The game itself is still great. Don't get me wrong. As I said, all of these are great. But the grind and that instinctual appeal is lacking, but that applies to all of the VR MMOs that are released to the public right now. I may have missed a few, but regardless, it's something that's missing and something I crave, but ever more so the PvP. PvP is one of the core features in MMOs, and honestly, PvPs are just stupid fun for some people, right? You still want to have the PvPvE or just PvE. That's perfectly fine. Partially why people like to play RuneScape, because there is PvP and PvE if you cross the wilderness. But if you don't enter the wilderness, it's just fair game for you. You're fine, basically. PvP is a core feature, but to get to a PvP status, you want to be proficient in a skill, though. You can't just fling your swords willy-nilly in a VR game and just hope you're gonna win. You would want to hope that your skills are better than the enemy, right? Maybe you have 100 attack, well, they have 100 defense, or vice versa. You want to see who's going to win more because of those skills. That's just RuneScape me talking. To be fair, by the way, I haven't played RuneScape in a fat minute, but I still love the game. Don't tell my fiance. But give me something to work for, like you would to get dragon armor or bandos, like I said, in RuneScape, because you have to be proficient in a skill to get the money, to get those things, and to become a powerhouse and so on, or just be able to do side quests to get those respective equipments. Give me something to grind for. Give me something to work for. Give me something to work towards. Give me something that I can do to get a gear, a pet, a player house, anything, really. But I want to be able to do it by either using my own money, by succeeding in a particular skill like wood cutting or camping or whatever. I don't know. All right, why am I making this video other than ranting about it? Now, I've seen several VR MMOs that are in development that really caught my eye, but in this case, the reason why I'm making this video is specifically Elysia. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're promising so much that I just hope, and I mean hope that it's similar to RuneScape in some way, not entirely, just in some way, to where you know, skills, man. I mean, something to grind for. It will have PvP, player housing, pets, dungeons, swimming, and a bunch of other things. I just want to grind for a set or something, or a skill that looks astonishing. Something to differentiate myself with other players, and whether it's a cosmetic that I can buy or something in the future that I have to physically earn. I don't know, man. This is just a really weird rant, honestly, but I think it's a justified one because this still applies to other games, not just VR MMOs. Games nowadays don't have something to grind for. The only one that really quote-unquote grinds for something is Ghost of Tabor because, well, there's wipes. Wipes are a thing. It's exactly like Escape from Tarkov. And once after you get that wipe, you can get everything back, and that's your grind. But with something else, everything else, really, for the most part, in VR, it's just not a thing. The grind and the skill, specifically the grind, isn't there. There's nothing to grind for unless there's something ahead. For example, I love Veil, right? But Veil doesn't have anything to grind for, except currently they're doing a tournament. So that is the grind currently for the Veil VR players. What about outside of the tournament? I want skins to earn something. I want to earn something with my efforts of playing the whole game. I want to grind away and have fun doing it. Even if it's just idle bullshit like you would in RuneScape with woodcutting. I don't know. I just hope that Alicia can meet this, but that's pressure from one guy. Don't even, if you're listening, Alicia devs, don't let this pressure from one guy discourage you, if it ever does, for whatever reason. I'm a guy with only 3,000 subs. It's just a rant, but I can't express how much I need to reiterate this. Give me something to grind for. Seriously. If anything, someone's gotta make a RuneScape VR or some shit, something similar to it, at the very least, because, I mean, shit. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people grew up on RuneScape. I did. RuneScape was my childhood. I grew up playing it a lot, every day, pretty much, and I enjoyed every minute of it. That's all I got for this video. It's just a big rant. I know, I'm sorry, but I really need to get this off my chest because the state of VR in terms of where games are going needs to be worked on, not just VR MMOs, but VR games as a whole thing. I said this briefly in a Veil video I did when they released their game, but I just needed to say this. Honestly, I just wanted to make a video on it. Even if the video only gets like 10 views or something, I don't care. I just really wanted to get it off my chest. I want to know your thoughts on all of this though. Please let me know in the comments what's your stance on VR games and VR MMOs as of today. Why, if you stopped playing a VR game, why did you stop playing that VR game? Tell me. I'm very curious as to know what you guys think of it all. And again, this is just a friendly, opinionated discussion. If you give me slurs or something, I'm just going to ban you from the channel. Don't even do it. This is a friendly discussion. I just want to talk about it. And hell, maybe I'll bring some VR MMO enthusiasts onto the channel real quick so we can discuss more about it. So if you have any questions, maybe, or if for people that love VR MMOs or something, put them down there as well. And we'll talk to people like Z-Storm or ShortStack or whoever. I want to read it one more time. One more time. I am by no means shitting on these games. They're just missing core features that traditional MMOs have that I personally want to see in a VR MMO. It's just lacking. It's all I can say. I have no idea what else to say after that. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you want to, leave a like. If you want to, the subscribe button as well, you're more than welcome to, obviously. I can't force you to do anything, but let me know what you think about everything in this video. I am genuinely curious to know. We can even talk about it on stream today at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come by and let's talk about it. And with that, your Soul Overlord wishes you well and keep your soul free. Bye-bye.